So the next cognitive distortion we'll go through is labeling. Now, likely chance you're already resonating to this one, either thinking that, oh, I have some labels that I put upon myself, or you have some clients where you think, yes, they definitely fit under this category. Now, we do live in a society where, yes, we use labels every day, and they are very helpful at times because it helps us categorize information, put it into things, and make sense of it. But when it comes to health and fitness and some transformations, if we focus on a label and solely that one aspect rather than the whole picture, this is where a lot of distortions can happen and negative consequences. So when it comes to labeling, it's about making global statements about either ourselves or other people based on a situation specific behavior. And labels are often based in past experiences, or it could be labeled from parents or from teachers. They usually educate us on certain things, or it could be just a personal opinion rather than basing this information on hard facts and evidence. So some labels that clients might use is I'm bad for overeating today. And they also will use labels that include those terms of either fat, stupid, ugly, failure. Those are very common. So when you do work with a client and maybe you catch them using these terms quite a bit, my suggestion would be to do an activity monitoring worksheet with them to track how many times per day they're using that term. And then once we've brought that awareness, we can then start to use some tools to help. So when it comes to examples of labeling thoughts and beliefs, one example is the wide hips, curvy aspect that was put in the PDF. Now, this one is very common, especially with younger adults that you might be working with, or even older, that maybe their mom tried to explain to them, just like Maggie, that wide hips is just curvy, without explaining what wide hips mean, and explaining the biology behind it, and instead just labeled it as you're curvy. So Maggie's issue, and a lot of clients you might work with, is that there's so many other characteristics about them, so many other parts about their body, but they ignore them and just oversimplify that they are curvy. And that's where there can be some issues. Another, like a metaphor that you can use, and likely you'll see this as well, clients that we work with, they'll say, yeah, I'm a label. I'm a mom. I'm a successful business owner. I'm an athlete, right? I have a great social network. So Jane, yes, she hits all the above, 5 stars, A plus, but then she starts a weight loss transformation. But she finds it really hard to stick to her food plan on weekends. But she's so successful in all these other areas, but she's labeling herself as a failure because of weekend overindulgence. So just that one small weekend, not the rest of the week, she's making that global statement, focusing on that one aspect and labeling herself as a failure. But she's not looking at all the other characteristics about herself and going into one dimension, because she's a business owner, she's a wife, she's an athlete, she's all these other things, and she's not a failure in them. So that's where labeling can really start to bring up some things with your clients. So how do we challenge labeling? So one is the pie technique, and we'll go through this one later in detail as well. So you can create a pie showing the client's roles, their characteristics, their accomplishments, everything about themselves that, just big them up, make them feel great. But then cover up the entire pie and exaggerate the importance of one single piece. I would not pick something that they're emotionally triggered, but just one thing, and apply that label to the whole pie. And by doing so, you're going to distort that whole pie, because that doesn't make sense, right? It's like taking out all the gooey, nice blueberries that's in a pie and just showing the crust. That doesn't make sense to a pie. And it misrepresents what a pie actually is and what that person is. So that's a really good way for them to visually start to understand. We can also look at utility, right? So we want to examine the effect the label has on the client's entire life. Like, how helpful is this label? Is it helpful or not? That's where Thought Records worksheet can come in as well. And the best friend technique. This one is so important, right? So this will help clients see the double standard they're holding onto, right? The best friends can have some really good awareness. So that's 3 different things that you can use when it comes to helping your clients that have the cognitive distortion of labeling.